Welcome to GameSpot Live. I'm Greg Kasavin, filling in for Erik Wolpaw, who had the fortunate experience of reviewing Mafia for us. Mafia is a game that was developed in the Czech Republic by a company called Illusion Softworks, and it also happens to be one of the best games so far this year. Though it was released without much fanfare, Mafia got some people really excited before its release due to its combination of driving sequences and straight-out shooting action. It looked a lot like the extremely popular Grand Theft Auto 3 to a lot of people. In reality, it does have some elements of Grand Theft Auto 3. It certainly shares that game's superlative quality overall, but Mafia is actually quite different. It's a more linear, much more action-oriented, kind of on-foot shooting game. Mafia is just a surprising game at a time when a lot of shooters are pretty short, under 10 hours. Mafia is surprisingly long. It's never all of its action sequences are really exciting and really well thought out. The game looks and sounds great, and really it just has pretty much everything going for it. Mafia takes place in a fictional 1930s American city called Lost Heaven. It's a sprawling metropolis, and it runs on clockwork. You get to kind of drive around and see lots of pedestrian traffic and motor traffic, and you even have to abide by traffic laws or else the cops will pull you over, and all kinds of fun stuff like that. These driving sequences often lead into the actual action-packed missions, and they really set the stage for the way the game plays out. Mafia does have other noticeable similarities to Grand Theft Auto 3. It's also a game where you're trying to dodge the cops and where you can go around in kind of a living world, but the similarity pretty much ends at that point. Just like Grand Theft Auto 3 included sort of a mini version of the game Crazy Taxi, the driving sequences in Mafia are sort of a mini version of Grand Theft Auto 3. It's really not an open-ended game. Mafia primarily consists of 20 big single-player levels that in turn consist of different sections. Oftentimes you'll have to drive to the scene of the crime and then get out on foot and participate in some sorts of crazy shootouts or all kinds of other events. The game also features some lengthy but really well done in-engine cinematics with some really detailed characters that help set the stage for the story and give you a lot of purpose and keep you engaged throughout the entire game. Since the game looks so good, the driving sequences can be quite fun at first. You'll just be impressed with the ability to drive around this big city. Later on, probably in the second half of the game, the driving might get a little wearisome for you just because the action itself is so good. You'll wish you could just get on with it and cut right to the chase rather than have to, wait at red lights and all kinds of stuff like that. Besides which, it's worth mentioning that since the game takes place in the 1930s, the cars you can drive aren't exactly state-of-the-art. Sometimes they don't even start up on the first try, so it really is a nice simulation of driving lousy old cars, but that's as good as it sounds. As far as the action itself is concerned, Mafia offers one incredible action sequence after another, and a lot of them. It's a surprisingly long game. The enemies are smart, and the game has some really interesting details in it, such as how when you reload a gun, you lose the remaining ammunition in the clip. Enemies will do things like use cars for cover, and you can even shoot drivers in cars that are coming right at you, and they'll die in classic kind of mobster poses, such as hunched over the steering wheel or kind of rolled out the passenger window with a Tommy gun, stuff like that. The game really looks as amazing as it plays in the action sequences, and it just sets up a lot of different situations with its realistic physics. The game sounds about as good as it looks and features a really excellent period soundtrack consisting mostly of jazz. As you're kind of driving from one mission to the next with a jazzy tune playing, it really helps set the mood for the whole game. The game has a limited save system, something that is generally unpopular among PC gamers, but it's worth noting that there are a lot of automatic save points, and it really isn't that big of an issue. The designers deliberately use it just to increase the tension of the game, make it so that you can't just hit your quick save every 3 seconds or so. The game will take you about 15 good hours to finish, and once you're done, you unlock what's called Free Ride Extreme, which is kind of a crazy mode where you can drive around town without the police on your back for a change, and find about 20 different crazy driving challenges that unlock new bonuses once you accomplish them. For instance, in the first one, you'll be chasing after a guy in his underwear with his feet on fire who runs at about 50 miles an hour, so you could tell the developers have a little sense of humor, even though the single-player story really plays it straight. So even though Mafia came out of left field, there's no denying that it's a really impressive game and a really incredible one in a lot of ways. Everything about it is polished. It looks and sounds great. It has original, unique mechanics and a style of its own, even though it does have similarities to other popular games like Max Payne and GTA 3. But Mafia will, in fact, join their ranks as another really amazing game in its own right, and it'll be influential just like they were.